Someone on your team is either rude, not pulling their weight, or both, and everyone else is picking up the slack while you do nothing about it. Well, that's just how Dave is. Or Sarah's going through something at the moment and we can't afford to lose them. Yes, you can, and you should. I'm Claire Salerno. I work with leadership teams and organisations across the UK, and today I'm giving you the CALL framework. 4 steps for addressing rudeness and lack of contribution, and knowing when to exit someone. Because every day you tolerate this behaviour, you're telling your good people that their effort doesn't matter. So let's get into it. Let's talk about 2 related problems that absolutely tank team performance: people who are rude and people who don't pull their weight. So why are these linked? Well, rudeness and lack of contribution often go together because they both signal, I don't respect this team or this work. The 3 types. The rude non-contributor. They don't do the work and they're obnoxious about it. These are the worst. The polite non-contributor. Nice person, lovely even, still not doing their job. The productive but rude. Well, they get results but make everyone miserable in the process. All 3 damage your team, just differently. The real cost. To productivity, other people pick up the slack. Your best performers end up doing their job plus the non-contributor's job. And the result? They burn out or leave. To morale. Why should I work hard when Dave does nothing and gets paid the same? So resentment builds, effort drops, standards fall. To culture. You've signalled performance and respect don't matter here. Good people leave and you're left with the people who can't get jobs elsewhere. To you, your reputation as a manager is shot. Everyone knows you tolerate unacceptable behaviour, and when you finally try to set standards, nobody takes you seriously. So how do you actually address this? Let me give you the CALL framework. 4 steps for dealing with rudeness and non-contributors. C. Clarify expectations. Firstly, are the expectations actually clear? Sometimes people aren't contributing because they genuinely don't know what's expected. So check, sit down with them, say, let's go through your role and responsibilities. Walk me through what you think you should be doing, and then compare that to what you think they should be doing. Is there a gap? Set it straight if there is. So say something like, your role includes, that means by, and that's the frequency, and I expect a specific output or behaviour. Be specific, not contribute more, but I need you to complete your project updates by end of day on Monday each week, and participate actively in team meetings by raising at least 1 question or suggestion. And then document it. Email them afterwards, saying, just confirming our conversation today, your responsibilities are XYZ, we agree you'll, and then provide the specific actions, and then let's review this in 2 weeks. Now they can't claim they didn't know. For rudeness, the standard of professional behaviour in this team is, and then provide the specific behaviours. That means no interrupting people, no dismissive comments, and responding to emails within 24 hours except at weekends. Make it explicit. A. Address immediately. When you see the behaviour, address it right away. For lack of contribution, you could say, you didn't submit the report by the deadline we agreed, so what happened? That's not aggressive, that's just factual. And then listen to their response. There may be legitimate reasons. Perhaps they're blocked on something. Perhaps they didn't have the correct information that they needed. Perhaps they're overwhelmed with other priorities. And if that is the case, then problem solve. Right, so you need X from Sarah. I'll chase that. But going forward, if you're blocked, tell me immediately. Don't wait until the deadline. If there's no legitimate reason, you can say, this isn't acceptable. The deadline was clear. What's going to change so this doesn't happen again? And then get some commitment. Rudeness, in the moment, if it's in front of others, say that comment wasn't appropriate. Let's keep this professional. It's brief, but it's firm, and then move on. And then privately, you can say, in this morning's meeting, you said, and then relay the specific comment. That was disrespectful to Sarah, and it can't happen again. Is that clear? And then follow up. In the next instance, we spoke about this last week, it's happened again. This is now a formal concern. And what you're doing is you're building a paper trail and showing escalation. L, linked consequences. First, we'll put together a performance improvement plan with clear targets. And if those aren't met, this becomes a formal capability issue. Ultimately, if there is no improvement, your position here is not sustainable. You're not threatening them, you're being clear about cause and effect. For rudeness, professional behaviour is non-negotiable. If this continues, there will be a formal written warning, and further incidents will lead to final written warnings. Continued behaviour will lead to dismissal. Make it real. Don't make threats you won't follow through on. If you say, next time there are consequences, and then there aren't, you've lost all credibility. The Performance Improvement Plan, or PIP. So for non-contributors, a PIP is a formal tool. Specific objectives, not vague, like do better. You provide a time frame, usually 30 to 90 days. You will let them know what support is available, like training, resources, or mentoring. You'll provide review points, like weekly check-ins, and then you set out clear consequences if not met. And this protects you legally and gives them a genuine chance to improve. L, listen, but don't accept excuses. There's a difference between reasons and excuses. Legitimate reasons are, I've been struggling with my mental health and I should have said something sooner. I didn't understand the process and I was embarrassed to ask. I'm dealing with a family emergency. These are real. You can work with them. And your response could be something like, thank you for letting me know. Let's work out what we can do to support you and how we can adjust things temporarily. Excuses are not legitimate. So something like, well, everyone else does it. Doesn't matter. I've always been like this. It doesn't make it okay. I'm just stressed. That is not an excuse for rudeness. Well, I thought someone else was going to do it. Your job is to check. These don't change the expectation. They're just explanations. The listening balance. Hear them out. Maybe there's some context that changes things, but don't let context become permission. I understand you're stressed. That's hard. And it still doesn't excuse snapping at your colleagues. So let's talk about how you can manage stress differently going forward. Empathy doesn't mean lowering standards. What about when they try and turn it around? Sometimes they'll try to make it your fault. Well, if you manage the team better, or you never told me, or this team is impossible anyway. Don't get defensive. Stay factual. We're not here to discuss my management. We're here to discuss your behaviour or your performance, which needs to change. So redirect firmly. When to let them go. Sometimes people don't change. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes they won't. At that point, keeping them is worse than losing them. When to exit someone. For non-contributors, if they've had clear expectations, they've had support and resources, they've had formal warnings, nothing's improved, it's been long enough, usually between 3 and 6 months of formal process. For rudeness, it will depend on the severity. Could be gross misconduct, discrimination, threats, etc. That's an immediate dismissal. General rudeness, well, that usually needs warnings first, but if they're getting worse despite warnings, exit them. The conversation. This isn't a negotiation. We've been through a formal process. The improvements we needed haven't happened, and I'm terminating your employment. Your last date will be, HR will discuss your notice period and any outstanding holiday. And this is factual, brief, final. Have HR present, have documentation ready. The relief. So here's what happens after you exit a non-contributor. The team breathes a sigh of collective relief. Performance goes up, even though you're one person down, because that's how much they were dragging everyone else down. When you exit a rude person, the atmosphere changes overnight. People relax, collaboration improves. It's like opening a window in a stuffy room. That's a signal you could have done it sooner. So how do you prevent this? Well, you set the tone early. New starters need to understand expectations from day one. In this team, everyone contributes. We have high standards for work quality and professional behaviour. If you're struggling with anything, come to me early. What's not okay is not trying or being disrespectful. And then model it. You can't demand contribution if you're not contributing. You can't demand respect if you're not respectful. Your behaviour is the benchmark. Catch it early. The first time someone's rude or doesn't deliver, say, hey, that's not how we do things here. Let's reset. A small correction prevents big problems. Reward the right behaviour. When people do contribute and are professional, you could say something like, Sarah, your report was excellent and you really helped Tom in that meeting. And that's exactly the teamwork I want to see. You reinforce what you want to see more of. So here are some of the common mistakes. So before we finish, let me tell you the 3 mistakes that make this problem worse. Mistake number 1, they're going through something. Pass. Dave's having a hard time at home, so we'll give him some slack. Fine, but that's temporary. Going through something doesn't mean indefinite exemption from doing their job or being professional. So you need to set a time frame, offer the support, but don't let going through something become a permanent excuse. Mistake number 2, waiting until you're absolutely certain. So I need to be 100% sure before I say anything. No, you don't. If you've observed the behaviour multiple times, address it. You can always adjust if new information emerges. Waiting for absolute certainty means that the problem festers. Mistake number 3, letting it become the new normal. The first time you ignore rudeness or non-contribution, you have set a standard. Dave gets away with it, so why should I bother? Once it's normalised, it's much harder to fix. Address it the first time. Use the call framework. Clarify expectations. Address immediately. Link to consequences. Listen, but don't accept excuses. And when necessary, let them go. Your best people are watching. Show them that standards actually mean something. If you want the full call framework toolkit, including expectation setting templates, PIP frameworks, and exit conversation scripts, you can head to clairesalerno.co.uk. If this gave you the courage to finally address that problem team member, subscribe. I share frameworks that help you lead with clarity and confidence. I'm Claire Salerno. Off you go. Go set some standards. Take care.